Hello.
Hi. Is this
Hello.
this Wesley?
Hi. Yes.
How are you?
Oh, trying to enjoy what moments we do have left for
Yeah,
the holidays with my family.
terrific. So thank you for joining me today on Reba Live. Why don't you share with us a little bit? We're sitting here talking today about different types of jobs, and I had mentioned earlier the fact that you had some gun stores in the Vegas area. Can you tell us a little about your experience there?
Okay. Well, basically, my family owned a gun shop in Las Vegas, Nevada, and we had it since 1993. Um, what it came down to is in between the 2009 2011, when Obama and Eric Holder were taking hold of presidency and attorney general. Um, we had a successful gun shop until that point, and ATF from headquarters was attacking gun shops, and our shop was one of the shops that was hijacked by ATF in the Operation Fast and Furious gun running program, which I'm assuming a lot of people know about that one incident. And it wasn't just 2,000 guns in the operation that the media tries to claim, because we have factual documents. Just over 2,000 guns were stolen from our gun shop alone. Just approximately 2,000 NFA machine guns alone were hijacked from our shop, not including handguns and long guns.
Wow.
And we had a really good business. We had employees. We had everything. Everything was fine until they did it. And we've been fighting with the truth with Kent Terry's family, from Brian Terry, the border agent, was murdered with Fast and Furious guns, and Lieutenant Colonel Matt Mack, Ann Vandersteel, and Ian Garland, a bunch of other gun shop owners that we know, and Victor Avila, the ICE agent. They're all friends of mine, and we're all fighting for justice. And it's been a pretty tough fight, against the Department of Justice, with all the deep state people that were involved in covering up this major scandal that, to this day, Trump did promise Kent Terry in 2016 in his campaign run to open the books, but we're still waiting for those books to be opened, because I can tell you, we got hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people that are still want to get to the bottom and get to the answers of these illegal gun running action that's still current to this day under the Trump administration, under his eyes.
So, what do you hope to see happen with this situation, Wesley?
Well, what I hope to see happen is in the situation, basically, I gotta go back a little bit to be able to explain what I would like to stop happening, and that is the forgery. In ATF, there was multiple gun shops that were running operations in parallel through the ATF, not just the Phoenix, Arizona gun shop, Lone Wolf Trading. There was multiple gun shops. What I hope to try to stop is the fraudulent actions of ATF circumventing the very laws that they enact by forging FFL licenses, and that's how they did it with our shop, since we didn't participate with them, and stopping the heinous illegal gun actions that have caused thousands and thousands of murders, not just in the United States up to this date, but also in Mexico too. So I'm hoping to stop this type of action that, like I said, is still continuing to this day, affecting families and lives, for years on end.
How many gun shops would you estimate have been impacted by this Fast and Furious?
Okay, I know of personally 3 other gun shops that were hit by the same ATF agent from headquarters. The ATF agent from headquarters is known as a ghost agent who goes from state to state forging documentations from gun shops, trying to steal the guns from them, and then liquidating the guns to illegal people or other people that are not legal to have these type of guns. And I can say that with factual proof because we know of a person that bought one of our guns that was stolen from our store in the Las Vegas Police Department parking lot in Las Vegas, Nevada. And he had told me that he was confronted by the person who had stolen the guns, who was doing the transaction, and also confronted by the ATF agent who assisted that person in stealing our guns. So I know of 3 other gun shops, and at 2 of them, they sued the ATF agent in civil court, won, but one shop in Oregon never got their 1919 machine gun side plates back, and his lawsuit didn't get him nothing because ATF said that they're not responsible for one rogue agent in their Department of Justice and that they can only sue that one agent. So the agent was found guilty. He sued, but the DOJ never really wanted to pay out nothing but a couple $100 here and there, and he never got his material back. And the other one was ammo dump in Texas by the owner of Robert Awadi, and he stole about 146 guns from him. Some of them were NFA machine guns, and the attorney that was helping him was the former ATF director, Robert Sanders, and he had the 9 federal indictments removed against my friend, and dismissed, I should say. And the ATF agent was found guilty in the court of law of stealing the guns and forgery of documentation, and he had to return the guns. And he returned the guns, parted, and used. And these were new guns, and guns that were still in new condition, and some were just old collector guns that were parted. So this agent has had multiple lawsuits against him, and he can still continues to work and is hiding in ATF headquarters to this date because he has a court date in Texas for this issue of forgery and stealing weapons that he should have never have had possessions of.
So do you know when that court date is?
I know it's multiple gun shops.
Okay. Do you know what date he's been ordered to appear in court?
In the civil suit, they were trying to serve him, and they couldn't find him. So Robert Sanders, he was a former ATF assistant director of D.C. and Chicago, had retired and became a private attorney doing federal cases. Under the federal case part, he did his job to help my friend out. He doesn't do civil actions. And Dave Hardy, who's an author who wrote the book I'm from the government and I'm here to kill you, he's a civil attorney. I believe he's down in the Arizona area, in the Phoenix or Tucson area. And so he became the civil attorney for my friend to go after Tommy Ho. And at this point, he was trying to find a location, and he couldn't find it, so they had to call Mr. Sanders to give some assistance because they knew ATF headquarters was hiding him over there. And Sanders had to go call the Department of Justice and demand that Special Agent Tommy Ho, H.O., be served these civil suit law papers to appear in court, and he had it done. And that was about, I would say, almost a year ago, maybe about a year ago. And DOJ does not want him to go to court on this issue because it will expose a lot of issues. And being this agent, Special Agent Tommy Ho from ATF, not only hijacked our gun shop, forged our document, forged our FFL, claiming that someone else bought our store and approved the new FFL under that person's name, which was never legally transferred. Neither was any of the store's shares transferred to that person, so they can never detain our store or our guns or our FFL. I found out from Ron Colburn. I guess Ron Colburn is the man, I guess, who created BORTAC for CBP, and with Brian Terry and another agent, William Neal Anderson. We're both on the same team. He created that, and him and I were communicating, and he confirmed that Special Agent Tommy Hull from headquarters was also involved in the lone wolf trading issue, that straw purchased the gun that ended up killing Brian Terry.
Wow. Now, I understand that there's some larger arms that were also involved in Fast and Furious, missiles and things. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, one of our group members, like I said, we have Victor Avila, the former ICE agent, and everybody, Kent Terry and stuff like that. We have a lot of people that were personally involved in the gun running operations, not voluntarily, but, victimized by it. One of our guys is Lieutenant Colonel Matthew Meck, and he had discovered that there was shipments in containers on the border of Arizona and Nevada that were filled with guns. I guess it was a transfer area where they were just stocking up these containers to ship them to another location, I guess closer to the border, and be able to distribute them out from there. And they found these 3-fin rockets, these portable rockets that are launched from handheld operations, equipment. I don't know exactly what the detail was, but he knew more about that and was explaining that it wasn't just guns, machine guns, handguns, long rifles. There was grenade launchers. There was a lot of military arsenal equipment that was also involved in pushing across the border, because the cartels, they want the highest powered weapons to fight the government that they can use. But also we were told that a lot of the guns were being shipped to the coasts of Mexico's borders and onto boats, and they were filling up the boats from people that came from the Middle East that were loading arms into the boats and then transporting it to Libya and other places like that with these type of weapons.
Wow, that's insane. And so then these people can turn our own arms against us.
Oh, well, exactly. Last year, July 3rd, I had a national press conference in Washington, D.C. at the National Press Club, and I paid for the event for all the victims to come to D.C. and to share their experiences and explain their issues that happened to them. And in the reality of it, it was our government under Barack Obama, Joe Biden, supplied guns to bad militias in foreign countries, like even Mexico, and then we put our troops on the receiving end of those barrels to fight back those militias, to make it look like we were doing a good thing, but our men and women were being killed by our own guns.
Outrageous.
That we were supplying.
Wow.
And that's a total disrespect to our military.
And as you pointed out, Fast and Furious took place under the Obama-Biden administration. And so how anyone that is an American could vote for someone who is responsible for doing this crime against American citizens is beyond me. How could they even... It absolutely
is. To me, I look at it like this. It's a binary choice between me. But other people need to also understand that, am I going to vote for a guy that hijacked my family's gun shop and then used those guns to distribute to criminals that have killed families in Chicago, L.A., Texas, because the handguns and the long guns, of course, they went to the street criminals and people that weren't licensed to have guns. How do you think a lot of these guns get into the possessions of these gang members and stuff like that? Because they certainly just didn't go to a store and run a background check to pick up a gun. These are all stolen guns that the Department of Justice's ATF has helped distribute around the country and abroad, creating chaos and using that scenario to put more restrictions of gun laws. And I always tell people this: what good, and just remember this, what good is any gun regulation or any gun law useful or good when our own government circumvents the very laws that they enact?
That's right.
Meaning the government can do something illegal, claiming an operation that's legal for them to do something illegal to create more chaos and murder people across the country and get away with it, and then try to pin the gun shop owners on it.
They're such hypocrites.
And then try to make more laws.
They talk about gun control. In fact, when I was in a debate a couple months ago with the Democratic congressional candidate, the incumbent Lois Frankel, and my other Republican candidate opposition, except for Loomer, who never showed up for a debate or a forum, they asked us the question about gun control. These liberals that were conducting this debate, they were asking us what we would do as far as gun control is concerned. And I told them, well, we need to train every American who's willing to bear arms, because we have a Second Amendment. We need to have them trained and we need to have them armed. And I'll just point this out, that this is a distraction from the elephant in the room, which is child sex trafficking. They didn't like that one bit. They had given us 60 seconds to answer the question, and I answered their gun law question in the first 20, and I started talking about child sex trafficking because it is all a distraction. Very few children are killed by guns, and of course every life is important, but more children are lost to this pedophilia, to the child sex trafficking, to the satanic child sacrificing demons that we have here in our country and around the world. And they tried to cut me off, and I just continued on and used up my 60 seconds. But they want to ignore the real issues, which of course are sedition, treason, and child sex trafficking. Those are the three big ones right now.
Well, you mentioned treason, okay? And treason in the eyes of the government is if someone provides weapons to a foreign entity who uses those weapons to shoot back on American soil and murder American citizens. That's considered treason.
I agree.
And the perfect answer is Brian Terry, because these guns were supposed to be followed across the border and seized on the other side of the border to capture these cartel leaders' locations. But none of that happened. But what did happen was Brian Terry was murdered with these guns on U.S. soil. So that is right there in itself treason. And why doesn't anybody say anything about that part? Because I find it very funny that, when Trump does something, it's bad, it's this, investigate this, investigate that. But just think about it. Barack Obama and Joe Biden have executive privileges under Operation Fast and Furious. Mm-hmm. Why, if they're such great, wonderful people in the eyes of the Democrats, why do they have executive privileges on this gun-running operation that even Shel Atkinson under CBS and many other reporters reported this illegal trafficking of guns, because an ATF agent saying to us, because they asked my uncle to participate in the straw buy, but my uncle wanted documentation, and since they didn't willing to give documentation to back up their words, they had to hijack our store illegally by forging documents. Mm-hmm. Other gun shops played ball with the ATF, and guess what happened? They got silenced. And a lot of them got convicted, and a lot of them lost their livelihoods, their gun shops, their guns, their businesses, their homes, their bank accounts, everything, locked into prison in solitary confinement. And my uncle, he even got locked up for 3 years without being charged for a crime, because he wasn't willing to participate in the ATF's gun running operation and straw buy purchases.
When are the people going to stand up and say, no more? No more. These people, they have been trampling not only our rights, but destroying everything around us. As you said, your family and so many of the people in the business that you dealt with have lost everything. Homes, cars, families, personal belongings, locked up in prison. Like, what the heck?
Yep. And
they're still running for office.
They were obliging ATF in their operations. They felt that they were doing justice in helping our Department of Justice, combat this weapons trafficking issue. But really wasn't about weapons trafficking. It was really about weapons supplying.
Yeah.
And, the worst part about it is...
What's that?
The worst part about it is I've been fighting for my family's justice and fixing everything that happened with them under this. My brother and my uncle, and my mother and my father, who has passed away already, to get justice for them all.
I'm sorry.
Okay? Mm-hmm. And what's sad is our own government don't give two flies about what happens. But what's really pathetic is you have the president of Mexico, who sent a letter to the White House, to our president, Donald Trump, and asked for the information between 2009 and 2011 under the operation of Fast and Furious for the violation of Mexico's sovereignty and so forth. And then the president of Mexico flies to Washington and then looks for the Department of Justice to investigate. And of course the investigation is not going to happen, because the DOJ pretty much gives the president of Mexico the bird and says, we ain't going to do anything. But yet, if the president of Mexico is not going to get answers from the Department of Justice, our American country, that ones that we depend on, our federal government that's supposed to be there to protect us U.S. citizens, why is it that Mexico's president and attorney general and all them are calling out to me for my documentation on the gun running operation? Because I have not only the wire transfers from our personal business account at our gun shop to their private accounts, to their personal accounts, the ATF agents and the people working with the ATF. So I have the wire transfers, the bank statements, the transactions. I have invoices under our FFL license that they forged and renewed under someone else's name. But and then retracted. I have the letter of retraction on the FFL after they renewed it, because they don't want it to be linked under their name. They want it to be linked under my uncle's name, who was the FFL holder as CEO of the corporation, and my brother as vice president of the corporation.
So who was the Attorney General at the DOJ when the President of Mexico sent this over to him?
Who was what?
Who was the Attorney General? Was it Barr or before him?
Oh, no, this was just a few months ago. This was in July of 2008, June and July of 2020. So it was Barr. Barr was the AG now.
And he didn't respond in an appropriate manner.
As word got it, in the media, it's clear the DOJ doesn't want to do anything. But is it because he went to the FBI? Or did he go to Barr personally? Or what the status is? But it's sad that the foreign government is asking me and a couple of my other people that are in our group for our documentation, because I have a complete gun running operation in my hands, in my possession, and I have every single ATF agent's name and badge numbers involved. I have documentations that are Department of Justice documentations, the report of investigations, the signatures of the agent signing off on the false documentation or the fake documentation or the lies and conspiracy, stuff that they were trying to claim was going on. I have it all.
So I wonder if
they
the
claimed
DOJ...
that our gun shop was sold in 2009. Mm-hmm. How could my uncle, who they claimed as 100% shareholder of our gun shop, sell our gun shop to someone with an undisclosed, and instead states in a Department of Justice report of investigation, with an undisclosed amount of money? Now, nobody's going to sell a shop for an undisclosed amount of money. It's going to be disclosed, especially if it's in a report of investigations from the ATF. But how is it my uncle is 100% shareholder when he's only 50? My brother owns the other 50%. So how could my uncle even sell one share or give away one share without the authorization of my brother? Mm-hmm. But it's in the report of investigations, and they use that to claim someone else owned our gun shop. So on April 20th, 2011, they blew down the door of our gun shop and stole every single gun, the acquisition deposition book, our check books, for the business accounts. They took everything, and they put all the guns in a private person's pickup truck and started distributing them online to any buyer willing to pay the highest bid for these guns.
Wow.
And we're talking about 2,000 NFA machine guns. We're talking about 50 caliber Barrett sniper rifles. We're talking about ammunition for the 50 calibers. We're talking about, handguns, long guns, you name it, night Trigicon scopes. The Wells Fargo, which I tried to battle with Wells Fargo, and they said that we gave permission to someone to use our bank account. Well, they can't prove no documentation because nobody gave nobody permission to use our bank account. But they forged 66 Wells Fargo checks back to back, totaling $100,000 in purchases under our FFL, our corporation's name, but our FFL wasn't valid because our FFL expired November 2010. They were purchasing weapons all the way to April 2011 with the FFL that was no longer valid under our store name. Where did these guns go? $100,000 worth of weapons. On top of that, they stole about $1 million in ammunition from our store. And on top of that, I would say about $1.75 million in night Trigicon scopes, suppressors, every accessory that you could possibly imagine under the sun for these type of weapons. Thousands and thousands of products just stolen out of our gun shop in one shot.
Unbelievable. And
yet the ATF agent that was there was Special Agent Tommy Ho.
Wow. So I'm really curious what the DOJ, what their response would be. I think I need to try to reach out to them. Attorney General Barr, he seems to be an okay guy on the surface, but what's going on here? I'd like to know. I'd like to have his comments on that.
Well, I was told by some people in D.C. that are, like investigators type people, that the dirty Republicans, the Rhino Republicans in the old establishment under Paul Ryan and all those guys, Boehner, it was under Boehner, there was a deal that they made that we'll keep this shut if you give us this type of deal. So we won't discuss this no more if you give us this type of deal. I heard it was something like that happened. And that's why you have a lot of dirty old Republican politicians that are swamp, creators that are trying to cover up, conceal, or try to avoid any movement in the Operation Fast and Furious. And this is what Terry's extremely, excuse my French, pissed off about. Because, listen, I love my president. I love Donald Trump. He's a businessman. He knows what he's doing. He cares for the people. Mm-hmm. He made a campaign promise. He made a campaign promise to my friend Ken Terry and Josephine Terry, his mother. He made a promise that he would open the books to Operation Fast and Furious. To this day, we're still waiting. And if Mr. President hears this, please contact us because we have the documentation. Kent Terry will even tell you that it's sad that I had to come to someone like you, Felix, to get answers on this gun running operation. I got more out of you than I did out of our entire Department of Justice trying to, get us justice for my brother's murder. And I said, yeah, it's kind of sad that you have to depend on people like us who are truly American patriots just seeking justice for all the victims, in this heinous issue. And even ATF even made a report, 1 or 2 years ago, under the Operation Fast and Furious. To this day, there's still going to be continuous murders that are going to continue, for years on end, for possibly decades, based on the thousands, not 2,000, tens of thousands of guns that were trafficked by ATF. And to me, ATF is the dirtiest bunch of agents in history in the Department of Justice. And I can say that with this because they say, if you see something, say something, right? And if you know something, and you don't say nothing, you're just as guilty as the person that did it. Because they try to do that in court to you. If you're an accomplice, they're going to charge you with the same crime as the person who did it. Well, guess what? I think that every ATF agent, and that's why I give credits and kudos to John Dodson, who blew the whistle on this whole issue, and Victor Avila, whose partner was murdered, Jaime Zapata, under Fast and Furious guns. All these guys, none of the families got justice. Nobody.
So let me ask you a question, Wesley.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I used to hear all the time about a citizen's arrest. I think it's time we start doing some of that. What do you think?
You broke off on the part where it said citizens what?
Citizens arrest. Where we, the citizens, go and arrest some of these clowns because the government doesn't seem to be doing its job. Like, I can't believe that it's been going on for almost a decade that they've been covering this stuff up, and nothing has been done to give these people justice, like your family that's been harmed by this and all the countless families that have lost loved ones. Like, we need to fix this. We need justice. Well,
you know what's sickening is Nancy Pelosi and the others, they did some sort of thing with the banks. It was something to do with the banks that if you were having problems or something like that, you can file a complaint and then they'd have to do an investigation on it. And that was just a bunch of fraudulent federal government, stuff, because we did report to the bank, the federal banking, whatever they were, and they didn't give two cares about our money being stolen out of our account, the illegal transferring of our account number to another company, the hiding of it so that they could forge checks. They didn't care. So this federal government accountability groups, you can't even trust those. To do the citizens arrest thing, and I get that, I honestly do, but you got stupid characters that will exploit it to make it look bad so that it won't be accountable or creditable. You know what I'm saying? For the people that truly want to use that type of action of like a citizen's arrest, unless there was like a training procedure that you could go through to get certified to be able to do that, I could do something like that, because then you have the credibility of a certification through the federal government saying that you have the right to do citizen's arrest. I could do something like that. But just giving it to anybody, it would just be back and forth, bickering and fighting with each other. The left versus the right. I want to arrest you, you want to arrest me, the whole 9 yards. You know what I'm saying?
So what do you think your next steps are, Wesley?
Well, my next steps are the government of Mexico, due to the COVID issue, I sent them some documents that they were looking for, and they so badly want to meet me. They want me to fly down to Mexico City to meet with the federal Mexican government over there and to be interviewed about the documentations and how it all went about so that they can understand the operation of Fast and Furious, because they want to go after the former administration for their corruption. And it's sad that has to happen. But so we're waiting on that information when we're ready to talk. I don't mind doing a Zoom. I don't know if I necessarily want to go down to Mexico City, to deal with this, but I'm willing to speak with them whether they come to the United States to the consulate in New York City. I'll speak to them over there. Not a problem. You know what I'm saying? But right now we're on hold until this COVID restrictions of travel is lifted, and then we're going to proceed forward there. They're very excited to meet with me and get the understandings of what I have, the serial numbers to all the guns they stole, the invoices, the bank checks to reflect the illegal purchases of the guns. I have all that stuff, and they're really, really adamant on trying to capture that information to help them investigate. So that's what's going on now. But it's funny because you brought up Laura Loomer, right? And Laura Loomer, I've met her. She came to my house, in Long Island when I had my house in Long Island. She was working at the base on the Las Vegas mass shooting issue. And, she's a nice person. Don't get me wrong. She actually came to my house. She did more than other people did for us. But I supplied her with the documentation because she wanted to use it. But you know what? I never heard back from her.
She did nothing with it.
She never did anything. No.
Yeah, it's
and that just frustrates me because listen, if your concern was the public and you want to investigate and you claim you want to help, well, how come I haven't seen the help?
Because she's only helping herself. She's not helping the people. That's the thing.
I understand certain things because, you get so busy and you're so busy. But let's be honest. Let's be honest with each other. If you feel that you're too busy and you can't handle the amount of work that you claim that you're trying to do, then you need to take a step back and think about, can you accomplish in Congress and everything else what you want to do for the people? Because remember, those people are put in Washington for the people, to work for the people, not for their own agendas.
Well, here's the thing, Wesley. This particular individual, we had 6 debates and forums for the candidates in District 21. She never made an appearance at any one of those. She declined every single time.
But that fits, and I'm not trying to call out badly like that. I'm not trying to but I have to call a spade a spade.
That's
you know what I'm saying?
We all have to face the truth.
Her personal views and her personal character, a nice person. Do I know her that well? No. But from when she came to my house and we sat down and we talked and we discussed, yeah, I'll give her that much credit because she did do that. But after that, there was nothing.
Yeah.
Left me hanging. Why would you even come to my house and waste my time to collect my documents? And why did you collect my documents if you weren't going to do anything? What'd you do with the documents? Did you give them to somebody else that needed them so that they can cover up tracks? I don't know. But what do you expect me to think when you come to my house claiming you want to help and you don't?
It's a possible theory. Yeah, I've seen a lot of really bad shenanigans going on from that camp. But, we can't stick our heads in the sand. We need to face the facts and look at the facts and evidence in each of these situations and see who is trying to work to make a difference and bring power back to we the people, and who is feeding information to the deep state and working with the liberals who are out to destroy our country. We can't deny.
Well, if she wasn't.
We can't deny the facts that are in front of our face, because this is what's got us to this situation that we find ourselves in 2020. People have been looking the other way. They've been making excuses. They haven't been holding people accountable. And the fact of the matter is, when people show you who they are, we need to believe them.
Well, okay, so I'm going to give you this. Peter King, a representative in Long Island. He's on the national security intelligence community, whatever it is. He knows all. His staff was given all my documents. We sat down for like an hour explaining to his staff. You would think Peter King would say something. He's so concerned about national security and the gun running operations that are continuing under today, to this date. It's sad. It's under the Trump administration too that these dirty agents are covertly, distributing, stealing guns and supplying guns to the foreign enemy. Lee Zeldin's staff in Long Island, same thing. Kathleen Rice's office, same thing. They wanted to stonewall us because they knew it was an Obama-Biden issue. This guy Biden, I'm feared because you know why? Because if Biden gets in, are we going to have a Fast and Furious 2.0? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we probably would.
Is this what we're going to have? Like times 2?
That should be a warning to everyone out there.
Right. So, and then I was in D.C. with Ann Vandersteel, and she works with the Trump team down in Florida, and has Steel Truth Media, and she's, I respect that woman from top to bottom, in and out. She's one of the best-hearted patriots that I know that has helped us in Fast and Furious Gun Runner program
she's a friend
by
of mine.
documenting everything, working with us. God bless, people like you and her. I met you, I picked you up at the airport, and I didn't even know you, but you know my character. I'm a good person. I'll give you the shirt off my back. You know what I'm saying? I'm not asking for much, but if you're going to run for a position, I expect you to do right for the people and get answers under an operation that has murdered tens of thousands of people. And it's not for my personal gain. It's for the justice for all the victims. I'm not doing this for myself. I'm doing it for everybody else, what I've invested. So if I'm going to invest in a political person and trying to, explain to them my issue and my time, what happened, what went on, and you're investing into campaigning to fight for a position, I'll be honest with you, Laura Loomer, you may be a nice person in person, but to me, it looks like the same repetitive issue of candidates running for a position will yes you to death and do nothing. And that's my concern.
Yeah, it's really sad, but that's the majority of the people in government right now. They don't really care about the people. They're not there to serve the people. They're there for themselves, and it's a problem. It's a real problem. And I've heard it said that if we were to arrest everyone that's been involved in all these illegal shenanigans, that would be like 80% or more of those in D.C. So we have a huge problem for sure. We need to have a total house clean out. And just because someone is running for office and they have an R beside their name, that is no guarantee. People need to vet the candidates. And we don't need 100 Mitt Romneys in Congress for sure.
No, my point exactly. If you did something claiming you're going to do something and then you don't follow through with it, why should I vote for you or why should I support you if you're not going to follow through with your words? Mm-hmm. You see, in my business, I became successful in my business because I put my heart and soul into my projects with my clients. I took shit off my back and gave it to them. I said, whatever it needs to get this job done, I'm all in it, 100%. Whether I make money or I break even, I've even helped people where I lost money, but I did it out of the goodness of my heart in those factors. But if you're going to say something, then do it. Because if you don't do it, you're just as useless as everyone else that's in D.C.
Yeah, we need authentic people with integrity. So, Wesley, today's Labor Day. And I know that one of the jobs that you have done over the years, you put up signs all around. People can see you everywhere in Manhattan and all over in the Northeast. So why don't you tell us a little bit about some of the other things you've done besides the gun business?
I had a sign shop in New York City and in Long Island, and I was a master sign installer for high-end architectural signage in New York City, but it grew to more than just New York City. It grew to, other states. I would travel from state to state doing projects, California, Florida, Georgia, Ohio. We did work for the NFL, for the Major League Baseball, the New York City MTA trains, a lot of stuff you see in Times Square, a lot of businesses on Fifth Avenue like Juicy Couture, Tiffany's, South Ferragamo, a lot of those, high-end stores for seasonal stuff for the holidays. I was a small business, and I stayed small because I wanted to make sure that I spent time with my family. We do high-end work, so when you're calling on us, and my company was called Precision Sign Installation, when I would do jobs, 100%, get everything done for the customer, and they would call me back. So I had repetitive work, and I built my business to focus on my family. I could make more money if I wanted to. Mm-hmm. But to me, I look at society, and I grew up in a small town in Whittier, California. And when I left high school, I went to New York to work for my family's businesses over there. But I enjoyed the factor of like the Leave It to Beaver style life where mom stayed home,
yes.
Dad worked, and we had our vacations. Over the years, you notice that people have 2 or 3 jobs just to support what they can barely afford to this day. And they leave the children to be raised by society, like daycare centers and so forth.
Which is what has led to the point where we are today as a society. The kids have not been parented. They've not been trained. So you're raising some very good points.
Right. And that's, a lot of the liberal universities, colleges, teachers, and so forth that are pushing, their ideological ways on the children in today's society is created this anarchy and chaos because, parents are so busy trying to work and pay their bills and keep a roof over their head and put foods in their stomach that they're not spending enough time with their family. So I took my business and I said, listen, I'm going to make enough to keep us comfortable. I don't need anything more. I don't need to live beyond my means. I just want to live comfortably and happily with my wife and my kids and raise my kids with my wife together as a family.
That's
back
beautiful.
in the days when you had it like that.
Mm-hmm. That's so beautiful what you just described, Wesley.
Yeah, I do not want society raising my children. I made my children with my wife. I will raise my children. I don't need to depend on society to raise my kids and influence them in ways that I wasn't raised. I was raised to respect your elders. I was raised to always be courteous and nice to people, even if you don't even know them. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Just to be nice and to do the right things. And I've tried my best. Hey, listen, nobody's perfect. Don't get me wrong. I am far from perfect. But I do my best with what I have.
Mm-hmm. I had the same
kind of... I always try to teach people.
I had the same kind of mindset as you just described because when I started having my own children, I decided that either myself or my husband would be with those children. We didn't put them in daycare. I homeschooled my girls, and they traveled with me all over the world and all across the country. And it's a really beautiful way to build a strong family structure is to spend time together. And that's I had talked briefly about the Mennonite communities earlier in the show. And this is what they do there. They have their own schools in their towns. They are family oriented. They have very large families. It's not uncommon to have 12 or 20 kids in a home. They have huge houses, but there's so much love there and support.
Yeah.
And this is what we're missing in our society by and large. And even the people that, would identify themselves as Christian or Jewish, so many times individuals are very cold-hearted and they have no charity towards one another. This is becoming more of a problem in our society, and we really need to get back in touch with our emotions and our feelings and nurture those values of kindness and generosity towards one another, and to demonstrate love and care. And instead of focusing on ourselves and me, we're a society of 2-year-olds. We're self-focused instead of being mature adults who are actually looking outside of ourselves. What can I do for my country? What can I do for my neighbor? How can I be?
I agree with that.
A part of the answer to our problem instead of part of the problem. Because if you're not part of the solution, you are part of the problem today.
Yeah. See, I moved to Keene, New Hampshire in 2019. I had to get out of New York because it was just driving me nuts. Taxes were going through the roof under a Democratic Congresswoman, Kathleen Rice, in Nassau County. Taxes going through the roof in New York City. Thank God I left early because this whole pandemic issue still is dramatic issue in New York because they still can't open up. But so I moved to Keene, New Hampshire. I figured, okay, we got a Republican governor, Chris Sununu. So, I met him at the Trump rally in New Hampshire, not this Friday, but last Friday before, when President Trump came to Londonderry for a rally. And I was with Corey Lewandowski's, I guess it was his brother-in-law, because he said brother, but I may have missed the word brother-in-law part, because he looked like he was related to Corey's wife, which was probably his sister when they were communicating with each other. And so I was with them, and I met with Corey Lewandowski, and I explained to him, and I'm hoping that he's going to get back to me, because I give you my word, I'm going to do, 99.999% do what I say. No one is perfect, like I said, so you can never say 100%, because if someone says 100%, that's a lie, because let's just say 99.999%. I told him about our issue, and I'm hoping that he's supposed to get back to me and speak with me on this issue. But what I was going to say,
we got about 30 seconds left, Wesley.
Okay, what I was saying is, when I meet people, and I met you, we didn't even know each other, but I gave you the utmost respect. And that's a lot what we're missing in society. We're missing the compassion and respect for each other. And I live in a liberal town, and I know a guy who's very, very liberal. Him and I get along great, one-on-one personally with each other, but our political views, I just look to seek for justice and fairness in society. But the other side just wants to push their progressive, democratic, liberal policies and agendas. And I'm not looking for an agenda. I'm just looking to listen, free world, free country, let's just be happy in harmony.
Thank you so much, Wesley, for calling in today. Really enjoyed you joining me and sharing a bit about what you do for a living on this Labor Day, and also
it was a pleasure.
For being willing to help expose the problem.